Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning, Peter.
Morning, Bill. Hey, everybody.
I think the show is a misnomer for rookies, but you're only one rookie, Peter. Where's the rest?
They're listening. And Bill, they want to be just like, I don't know, just like somebody, not necessarily.
Yeah, I've been working on some ideas on how you could skip the rookie stage, the beginner stage of being a rookie. That would be good, wouldn't it? That would be.
Yes, good. That's the painful, confusing part.
Yeah.
All
right, here we are. Yeah. Here we are at episode number 382. That's 382 podcasts. If it's your first time, that means you have at least 400 hours of training on creative real estate if you go back to the beginning. But I will say, if you go back to the beginning, I apologize because our podcast in the beginning sucked because of sound and stuff. We're real estate guys, man. We're not tech guys, you know.
Yeah, we were learning.
We've turned into a little bit better than that, but we're still real estate guys.
Yeah.
In any event, the name of today's podcast is Emerging Real Estate Market Trends with Creative Real Estate in Today's Economy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a very unique podcast. I took a total different viewpoint on it. So if you think that you have heard me talk about emerging markets before, you're going to be quite thrilled with today's podcast. So here is the description. Mm-hmm. Join us today. What's that?
Oh, I just said,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you said something.
No, go ahead.
Join us today as we take the thrilling ride through today's ups and downs in real estate trends. With the world going digital, looking for warmer climates, interest rates climbing, and a supposed housing shortage, it makes creative real estate investors feel like it's getting harder and harder to find and do deals. Then, to put the icing on the cake, there seems to be 10 to 20 times, and I think I was conservative with that number, 10 to 20 times the amount of investors looking for the same property you are. Mm. In this episode, we will talk about In this episode, we will talk about all of these trends, why they are there, then what to do to overcome them so you can flourish and prosper in months and years to come. So, if you are looking to overcome these obstacles, this single episode is for you. Not only to know how to out-create all the barriers, but to fully understand them so you can make the calculated decisions you will need to build your wealth quickly. If you're ready to scoop up this information today, then start listening right now. In other words, get your favorite beverage and light your cigar. Oh, maybe some people won't do that.
Get your yellow pad and your pencil.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so first of all, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for their support. Obviously, without you folks, we don't have a podcast. So I wanted to say thank you for that. Also, if you could subscribe to us wherever you're watching us or listening to us, that would be awesome. We record this podcast in most cases Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Although lately we've been known to do it at Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. And ironic there, Peter, I thought we would get more listeners live on a Saturday morning than on a Thursday morning, but that isn't the case. So I'm not sure what that's all about. In any event, if you go on to Facebook, you go on to YouTube, or you go on to LinkedIn, you can find us. I post the link several days in advance so you can see what day of the week we're going to record. And the reason why I tell you that is because if you are here with us While we are recording live and you have a question about the podcast, you could put it in the comment section or wherever you're allowed to type on one of those platforms. And the question will pop up in front of me while we're actually doing it live. And I will answer those questions. However, if you have questions further than the podcast or more extensive than the podcast, you have to go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and hit the support button on the top right-hand side. Would I also like to add that I also own the software called Creative REI Reply. You should know that by now. You could go to creativereireply.com, and there's also a help ticket there too, so we can help you. I can get to you either one with either platform. Okay. So with that said, Peter, let's boogie on. Let's get some work done today. So, so I think we're going to have to put some big boots on today, Peter.
Oh, big boots.
Yeah, big boots.
I got big shoes. I'll go get them. You know what you're talking about, your description. I'm very interested in that because you do more research than I do. I try to do some work and hang on and follow your trends as you navigate this with your contacts. But there is a lot going on, and it doesn't just sit still. You have to keep always running to catch up with it. So lead on.
Well, I don't have this written down, but I will tell you. Well, we need to confront today's new business model in creative real estate, in the creative real estate industry.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I write that is because in the last 100 years, this is the most turmoil it's been in real estate.
Yeah, huh?
In the last 100 years, this is the most turmoil. Yeah, I mean, we talked about, and which I'm going to cover in a minute, but we talked about in podcast number 381, which is the podcast before this one, about how the National Association of Realtors are getting sued. Yep. They were sued, and they lost. They lost their case unanimously for $1.78 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
Forget about the lawsuit. Just in general, it's going to change real estate because the guys that own that have those kind of big businesses, you know, the amount of money that they do. I mean, NAR has $1 billion in assets, right? So those guys that think like that will change things because they don't want the liability. They don't want another lawsuit, which is going to happen. There's going to be more lawsuits, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, so real estate is going to change drastically just because of that ruling. Even if they appeal it, and the big guys that make all this money and run these associations are going to change the way real estate is structured, meaning the commissions and how things are. There's going to be new laws that are going to come out. It's just going to be different. On top of, 8% for interest. I mean, we had a run of 13 to 15 years of 3 or 4%. 5% was like outrageous, but it was 3 to 4% interest. Now it's a year later, it's 8%. That means that mortgages are tripling and quadrupling, right? Or at least the interest is. Yeah. And mortgage rates are going from $1,500 to $2,500 a month. That affects how much the prices of the houses are.
Sure.
On top of all of the stuff we're going to talk about today, all the technology. So the reason why I do this podcast is because the future will never be the same. This is kind of like an elastic band. If you stretch it really far, it never really goes back to its same size, right? So that's what we're talking about. So to keep up with this new forward generation, right? Modern real estate technology companies keep creating more and more ways and models to satisfy their customers, right? On top of that, companies like Airbnb threaten hotels.
Yeah.
There's a company called WeWork that threatens office management companies by being the middleman, putting users and providers together, right? The point is, the growth of online marketplaces since COVID, and it all happened with COVID, represents a permanent change in how real estate transactions occur. Do we agree?
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, we can see it. Us guys trying to do it, and I'm not a complete rookie. I'm not a complete professional. I'm kind of in the middle, really. and it's just not the same. Every
Right.
day is like, what do I do today? How do I
Right.
keep up? So yeah,
Right.
we feel it.
Yep. And with more and more time, these type of transactions will get more and more trusted. Right. So
Mm.
like Airbnb when it first came out wasn't popular, right? How
Well,
about
it's got,
Uber when it first came out? How many lawsuits did Uber have to go through
oh,
before they could get their licenses and do what they're doing?
well, it's kind of strange. Call some guy and he comes with his car to pick you up. I mean, a taxi is a taxi with a sign on it. It's got a meter, it's official, but some guy with his car, like maybe you can't trust it, maybe you can't.
I got to tell you, I remember when Naomi was around.
Yeah.
She had a website. I don't remember the name of it, but she had a website where she used to rent her car.
Yeah. Yeah.
People from wherever would come and just rent her car.
Yeah. She'd be working 8 hours in the office and like, screw it. Rent the car while I'm sitting here, make a couple of
Right.
bucks. Why not?
And ironically enough, I didn't use that website, but that just happened to me because I'm down in Florida and I came down for a month and I ended up staying. I'm going to stay for 6 or 7, right? And
Mhm.
which I can do. And so I only have one car for my wife and I, so I'm not going to rent a car. And I went over to Enterprise and I rented a ar, and it was like, oh my god!
Yeah.
And I just asked around, and sure enough, I have a car that I rented from some guy that's like half the price. Got 120,000 miles on it, and
Yeah.
like no taxes, no bullshit. Just
Yeah.
rented the car.
Really?
I
Yeah.
haven't. I haven't. I mean, fortunately, I have very good insurance and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
right. All
It's
right, so
different.
let's get the shovel out and dig in a little bit. The most
Mm.
amazing statistic I have to pose today to make my point about why things are going to change is
Hmm.
this. In 2021, and that's 2 years ago from now,
Yeah.
use of technology for real estate was 78%.
Of
In
transactions being
2020
done.
2000 in 2021, 70% use technology for real estate
Mm.
and is expected to grow exponentially. And of course, it has. I couldn't find a new number for today.
Yeah.
Here's another alarming fact. Now, listen to this. This is absolutely like it was a nosebleeder for me. I'm
Okay.
telling you, it was shocking,
Yeah.
absolutely shocking. By 2050, the urban population is supposed to increase by 75%
Urban.
to
Wow.
9.3 billion. The urban population will increase by 75% to 9.3 billion.
Wow.
So,
In
have you
in the
watched?
cities. That's in the all in city. Downtown city.
So, I just recently watched. What is his name? iRobot is
Oh,
the
the
name of the movie.
movie.
iRobot with
Will Smith, iRobot.
Smith.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Smith.
yeah. Will
Will
Smith.
Smith.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's funny as shit, to be honest with you. Personally,
Mhm.
I laughed my inside off like crazy. Will Smith, didn't he start on that movie way when he was a kid with a space show didn't wasn't he the kid that was on what was the name of that
Not Lost
show?
in Space?
Lost in Space. Wasn't that
No,
him?
no,
Oh, okay. I thought
no.
it was him.
There was a character named Smith on it. That's why. There was one
Oh,
of the
okay.
characters.
All right.
No, he was the rap kid in the sitcom as a kid because he started that away.
Anyways, 75% the urban population is going to grow to 9.3 million. What I meant to say is on iRobot, when you
Mhm.
watch it, the city, you see how the city is, how it's stacked up 40 stories high and everything's up in the air. And they're flying around and everything's in
Yeah,
the air,
yeah,
right? And that was posed for 2035. And I
yeah.
thought to myself when I watched the movie, I'm like, nah, no way. But then I thought to myself, with AI and all that shit that's going on right now, how fast it's moving, it could be.
Oh,
We'll
oh,
see. We'll see.
yeah.
Anyways, This means that real estate platforms will have to become developed and much more popular to keep up with the demand. So what we're doing now is too archaic. It can't keep up with the demand,
Mm-hmm.
right? So according to a website that is Sloboda, I don't know how you say it. It's SLSLOBODA studio.com.
Yeah.
Sloboda studio.com.
Mm-hmm.
The top 4 trends that are expected in 2023 are: 1, millennials are the leading buying group. It actually says millennials are the leading commercial buying group, but I don't think it means commercial real estate. I think it just means
Commerce, trade,
commerce trade.
buy stuff.
Number 2, prop tech is taking over the real estate market, and that's short for property technology. I'm going to cover all these in a minute.
Okay.
All right, so prop tech is taking over the real estate market. Pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Taking over the market. Number 3, marketplaces are becoming the it of the real estate industry. Right? Marketplaces. I'm going to cover that too.
Okay.
Yeah. And number 4, new business models in real estate industries. These are the trends. So let me explain these quickly. Number 1, the millennials in commercial, in other words, the highest commerce, the highest transactions.
Mm-hmm.
According to Finance Online, in 2022, millennials remained the largest buyers in 2022. This was a shocker for me. And it has been that way since 2010. And are expected to be, ready for this, Peter?
Mm-hmm.
55% of the market by the end of 2023.
No, that doesn't make sense because they're always complaining that they have no money, everything's too expensive, they can't buy a house, they'll never be able to afford having children, they can't afford it. But yet, I just heard this the other day on the news, in spite of like people saying inflation, all that, they're still spending money like crazy.
Yep.
Like maybe don't,
Yep.
but they are.
The point is that I think that the way our world is, which tends to be more socialistic than
Let's call it individualistic.
capitalistic, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get a lot of help.
Hmm.
But listen to that statistic: 44% of new homeowners. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not 55%. 55% will be the number 1 buyers. So what does that tell me? I'm going to go over this in a minute.
Well, that might be the people to try to sell to. You have to cater to them.
That is 100% correct. But
Yeah.
how do you communicate to them, and what do you do for them?
Well,
It changes the dynamic.
Yeah, they don't talk to anybody.
Right. We're going to cover that in a minute. So
Yeah.
here's some more statistics. 44% of new homeowners find information online first before they do anything about the real estate sale.
Sure.
This is my wife. She's in the other room right now, scanning through houses, looking to buy a house in Florida.
Oh, okay.
That's what she does.
Yeah.
And I know several women that do that. Not being
No, it's
chauvinistic
fun.
or anything. It's just
No,
it's
it's like
know several
shopping.
women.
How many shoes can you buy? Let's go look for houses for a while.
So now here's the statistic I was just talking about. NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors. Research says 90% communicate. Now they're obviously talking about their agents, right?
Okay.
90% communicate via text.
Yeah.
90% communicate, what you just said. They don't pick the phone up and call.
No.
94% use email, which surprised me because we don't use that. 94% use email, and only 36% use instant messaging. So that would be like on Facebook.
Right. Mm-hmm. Did it say how many people use a damn phone?
No,
There's no. The status so low they don't even mention it.
non-existent.
Oh my God.
Number 2, marketplaces becoming the it. Marketplaces becoming the it. What this means is websites or online services putting sellers and buyers together in the future of real estate.
So you don't mean Facebook Marketplace? You mean any marketplace type places like
I'm talking
eBay
about
and Amazon?
Zillow. How about Zillow?
Yeah, anything online market sales.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's divert for a second. So the purpose of a realtor is what?
Yeah, is to find the buyer for the seller.
So is it to consult them through the consultation? I mean, through the deal?
No, I mean, not necessarily. You're lucky if you find somebody with experience enough to give you guidance like that. Otherwise, they'll ask you, what do you want to do about the offer? What do you want to do about the 18 things they ask you to fix after the inspection? What do you want to do? Like, what do you suggest? No.
So the point that's being made here is that the realtor system is designed just to find the buyer. Now, there are very many realtors that hold your hand and consult you through the transaction because they do volume and they understand the transaction, they understand the flow of the transaction,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they're doing that because they know if they don't get you to closing, they don't get a commission,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So examples of these sites are Zeus, Zeus, Zeus,
Mm-hmm.
Zeus.
That's the god of the Greeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Airbnb, Webwork, Furnish Finder is another one. My wife and I use Furnish Finder all the time. That's how we find our properties in Florida.
Furnish Finders.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What that is that started out for traveling nurses.
Right.
So it's like a work. That's why we use it, because we're professionals.
Yep.
You know, the company she works for is here in Clearwater. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how she finds it, because like right now we came down for 7 months.
Yeah.
Right. They do 3-month rentals. So we did 2 months in one place and 5 months in another.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they're all rented and they're all like on a platform. But normally, 10 years ago, how would I do that? I'd either have to know somebody or I'd have to call a realtor down here and say, do you know someone?
Yeah.
And it wasn't as popular. The other thing is the amount of people that we meet that are like this lady that we're staying in the house now. She said I think she said she inherited a house from her grandmother or something like that. She sold the house or some story like that. I don't remember. I don't remember. I could be wrong, but and she bought this house, and it's like, 5 miles from where she lives, and it's a duplex, and she puts it on Furnish Finder, and she rents it out. It makes thousands a month.
Well, it's better than just renting like conventionally, because you charge extra because it's so short term. The price goes up, right? You get more.
Well, she gets in the off peak, she'll get 2,000, 2,100, and in the on peak, which she's not because there's nobody here. She wants 3,000. I think that's gone, but I think the numbers. So think of it: if it's a duplex, it's 4,000, 4,500 a month.
Yeah.
Right? If she was clever, she would keep it at that number. See, if I did that business, I would lowball everybody. If
Just keep
everybody
it
else
full.
was trying to get 3,000, I'd be 1,800. And then I would be rented all year long because they get 3,000, but then all of a sudden they got 3 months they're not renting.
No, there's a business way to figure out like the number that keeps it full all the time, or just some experience. But yeah, you lose a month or two, you lose more than the few bucks you get on the increase. So there's a right number for those kinds of things.
That goes back to my philosophy of when I look at numbers, what numbers I look at, and I look at the whole numbers.
Yeah.
It's like when I do a transaction. So in this particular case, what I would do is I would look at, okay, so if I were to rent it for 1,800, how much is that a year? And if I were to rent it for 3,000, how much is that for a year? Because the variable is how many months is it full.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
All right, number 3, prop tech uses information technology to help people research, sell, buy, or manage property, and is seeking to add more value to the industry through technology. So, what is real estate's number one disease right now?
Being able to find and buy a property.
No, it's disease is that the technology is helping people do that easier and easier.
Oh, now who's that? Who's that? Is that bad? You mean bad for the realtors?
It's bad for all of us. It's bad for you and I too.
Mm,
Because if they could do it without us, what do they need us for?
yeah.
We get on the phone and we help. We're going to help them solve their problem.
Yeah.
Well, if they know, because realize that's our solution for our seller is what?
Well, we do creative financing, giving him decent money because he's waiting for the whole thing to come around over time.
So we're just like the realtor. We're gonna find a buyer for them. Often it's us that's the buyer. So the difference between the realtor and us is we can do it quicker than the realtor because it's us. We can do it in a week.
Yeah.
Realtor has to go find the buyer. So a lot of times you'll hear me say on the phone, "Well, what are you going to do with a realtor?" "Well, I'm going to list it." "Oh, so you're going to go look for a buyer? Why would you do that?" "I'm right here. I'm a buyer."
Mm.
Right. So
Yeah.
when all of a sudden you have a lot of websites and a lot of places where you can click like easily and put your house for sale and find the buyers, how does that jeopardize us? How does it make us stand
Mm.
out? So you have to realize that if you don't have those communication lines, we'll say, or those communication avenues,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're stuck with finding someone like us or a realtor to go find you a buyer. Right? But if you could just click on any device, any computer, any internet access thing, even your phone, and
Mm.
you can find your buyer, then that means guys like us become a commodity.
It's so weird you say that because we've been talking about that as a problem for the realtors, but this is the first time it's hitting me right between the eyes. Like, oh, that's not good for me either.
Mhm.
But that's what I experience when I get on the phone and talk to people. And I text people. They're like, don't need you. Like, oh, thanks a lot. Just like the realtor, they don't seem to think they need us.
And our
Oh.
rookies, I mean, it's becoming apparent to our rookies if they are paying attention, right? That they don't
Mm-hmm.
need to go learn all the deal structuring and all that kind of stuff. What I've been kind of hammering now for, I don't know, probably 100 podcasts is your personality that's going to make the deal.
Hmm.
It's empathy, caring about the person. It's your ability to give before you take.
Mm-hmm.
It's your bill. It's why are you in the deal? And too many people are in the deal for the money. Too many people tell me when I ask them, "What do you?" I was on a coaching call the other day with Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got this problem child on there. His name is David,
Okay.
and he's a great guy, but he's a young kid. He's a millennial. He's 25 probably.
Yeah.
And he's whining about how he's just whining, and Joe just stopped. He says, "David, I have a question for you. I'm going to actually do this. I learned this from Joe.
Okay.
I'm going to do this probably in my coaching group.
Mm.
Matter of fact, I'll do it with you right now."
Damn it, I was going to hope you'd do it so I know the answer for Monday night. Come on. Put me on the spot. All right, go ahead.
What do you love about real estate?
What do I love about it?
Yeah.
Actually, my real honest answer, I like to make things better, which means the property itself, I like to make it a little nicer, whether it's a renovation or just make it nicer. And I like to see somebody who's trying to sell the house. I want to help them. Then I want to find somebody to buy it that like, hey, look, I can get you a house. I want to make them happy. How's that for a good answer, huh?
Now, 2 years ago, you didn't answer me that because I asked you this question a few years ago, and you said you wanted to make enough money so you could go do what you wanted to do.
Well, that's still true, but if I say that, you yell at me. So I say no. Well, the thing is, both of those are true. To clarify in my own mind, if you look at the very end of the chain of activities, which winds up as money for everybody or a house, productivity at the end. If you focus only on that, it's like focusing on getting 100 on the test. You can't do that. Try helping people on both ends, and then son of a gun, they'll like you and work with you. Study your subject so you understand them, And then you'll get a good grade because you actually understand, not because you're cheating just to pass. So if you do it the right way, you do get the money, but you can't focus at the very end. You got to focus on how you get there. I want to go to Florida. You got to travel the route. You have to get in the car and start. You don't just wind up there. I'm not that smart yet.
So I'm not being a show off, but I want you to ask me the question because I have a new answer too.
Bill's going to go, I just want the money. All right. No. So with all your recent soul searching, my friend, what's your latest description of why you love real estate?
Because I'm going to help people live the lifestyle they want so I can live the lifestyle I want.
Good one. Good one.
And it hit me like weeks ago. Like, what am I doing? Because you know the story. I mean, we're way diverted here. We're going to get back to the podcast in 2 seconds. I was asking myself, a year ago, like, what do I want all this money for? Why am I trying to make money? Because for 20 years, I'm like, I want to make money. I want to make money. I want to make money. And it never happened.
See?
I made money, but it was never the way I wanted to. Yeah. And then I realized that I wanted the money to create or sustain the lifestyle that I wanted. Right. So if I want to come to Florida for 7 months and do a retreat,
yes,
I could do it.
Right.
And then when I get done with my retreat, if I decide I want to create a new group or a new business, I could just do it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm doing, and then it got simpler, and I started thinking to myself, well, what am I really doing? Well, if I help my seller live the lifestyle they want, and I help my buyer live the lifestyle they want, in return, I will be able to live the lifestyle I want.
Does that include your coaching students too? Because you have a lot of that in your life, right?
I was just going to say, right. I hadn't thought about it just now, but all our listeners, if I help them live their lifestyle, they'll help me live my lifestyle. Because at the end of it, I'm a lifestyle coach. I help people get their lifestyle.
And if you think money solves lifestyle, 30-second story. One of my students many years ago in the music field, because see my ukulele in the back, was a neurosurgeon. That means a guy does brain surgery. He makes lots and lots of money, and he has the best guitar, the best equipment. He came here 3 times max because he had no time for himself. He had no lifestyle. He had work style. So all the money he made, he couldn't enjoy it. He was slammed every day helping people, brain surgery, but the guy didn't have a life. So what kind of lifestyle is that?
I had a big meltdown about 3 weeks ago. Exactly that. A big meltdown. A meltdown.
Oh, yeah.
A big meltdown because what I'm doing right now is for me. It's for me. I never do that. I'm always for the group. Everybody comes before Bill.
Yeah.
And my health and my mental stage, I had no idea how off the rails I was. Because it was work. I was a workaholic. And I came here because I wanted to change that. Because I'm going to be 60 next month. And I want to change that. Anyways, I don't know how we got on that. So number 4, getting back to the podcast, new business models is the future of real estate. We spoke about the potential realtor decline that's about ready to happen or is happening in podcast number 381. I already told you that, which is why my other partners and I, built Creative REI Replay for the creative real estate industry because there was nothing like this in the industry.
Yeah.
Up until we came on board, you'd have to get 5 or 6 platforms to work together to have some automation. And most of us are not computer engineers to know how to do that. And we'd spend all our time working on the platforms and all the administration stuff and never get around to making an offer. Right? And quite frankly, in today's environment, if you're not using a platform like this in today's market, you might as well consider yourself rocking line in today's business. There is no way. I've decided there is no way just outflow alone to find deals has exceeded 20% more than what we had to do. right? In my daily emails, I write, no more other days. I call it BC and AC, before COVID, after
Oh,
COVID,
jeez. Yipes.
right? So BC before COVID, what we would do is we would, and I mean we, meaning you and I, we'd go put out 25 bandit signs and we'd start getting calls. And if there wasn't enough calls from bandit signs, we'd put out some yellow letters, 500 yellow letters. And if that didn't work, which we never did, we'd do postcards. Those were the three common ways that we would attract sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Now you put out 50 signs. What happens, Peter?
Oh, nothing.
I
Nothing.
thought you were giving me a joke like that's what's happening. Nothing.
No, I thought you said what's happening, sweetheart, like Pam had just tried to talk to you. I thought
no.
like, because you looked over there like something's happening. No, I mean
I was looking for my water is what I was looking for.
Yeah, I got rid of my last bandit signs last year. I had a batch and I put them all out. Nothing happened. I didn't buy any more.
Right.
Right.
One of the services that I would like to develop, which I'm too busy to do, but I told you this in the past. What happens is, especially now after today's podcast, it stands out more than ever. So you'll probably have an aha moment because of it. When we're driving around on the roads, there's certain roads that everybody uses, right? Like there's all roads lead to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
All roads lead to Home Depot and Walmart and all those places, right? Then sooner or later, all the roads lead to these conglomerates, right? Well, on the internet, it's the same way. All roads lead to certain things. So I would like to create, which I'm not ready to do, but I would like to create a service, kind of like what Google is, with their images, for bandit signs. So when you're traveling around, a bandit sign pops up, just like when you're driving. And I think that would be cool shit. So anyways, next I want to talk about how a next trend here, how the Sun Belt property or popularity is rising. Right? The Sun Belt is the 18 states on the bottom of a portion of the good old USA. So if you just type into Google Sun Belt, it'll show you the states, right? Excuse me. According to a website called explodingtopics.com, clear my throat. Approximately 75% of the country's population growth. You get these numbers now.
I'm listening.
Approximately 75% of the country's population growth in the past 10 years has been concentrated in the Sun Belt states. In addition to the retired set, the region is also becoming increasingly more attractive to younger professionals due to the lower taxes and more affordable housing prices and the rents. Plus, space is better in these type of regions. And let's face it, with COVID teaching many of us how to work from home, real estate close to your job or around your job has become less and less important. Right?
Yeah.
So moving to the Sun Belts, I mean, that's the way I am. I look in Connecticut. What's your temperature's like, 30 degrees right now?
Yeah, it got bad overnight into the 20s. Yeah. It dropped bad last night.
Part of the reason, I mean, obviously I'm on a retreat and all that stuff, but part of the reason is Pamela just despises, my wife just despises that weather. She does not like it at all.
Yeah, a lot of people go to Florida for the winter and come back home up here because families up here, but they go up there for 3-4 months.
Florida, though. It's not just Florida. There's 18 states.
That's right. It used to be Florida, but now it's Georgia and the Carolinas. I have family, I have people. They're down there now.
All right, so we're gonna dial up this podcast right now. You ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Rocket Mortgage. Now, Rocket Mortgage is a big mortgage company. Rocket Mortgage says these are the top 10 best real estate markets.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Number one, and they're not listed like this is the best number one. They're
Not in
just 10.
sequence.
They're just in 10. Yeah.
Yeah. They're good. They're good.
Austin, Texas, the metro area. Average median price $620. 46 days on the market. Now, what have I said for the last decade, Peter? What's the best number for creative real estate for days in the market?
Right. You don't want the property to sell too fast because you can't get it. You don't want it to sell too slow because you can't sell it. So right in the middle, 45.
Yep.
46 is okay, right?
Yep. So I've always said that if you can sell a property under 30 days, it's a hot market.
Yeah.
If it takes 90 days, it's a cold market. So 45 days is right in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is 46 days in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Tampa, Florida. Median price is $388. 40 days on the market.
Do you know if these are longer than they used to be? Because for a while, things are going, at least in our area, we're, 7 days, 3 days, boom, they're gone. Do you know if this is different than the last year or two?
I don't know that, but I do know that this is a current list.
Yeah.
Number 3,
Okay.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Median price is $389. 50 days on the market.
Okay.
Number 4, Nashville, Tennessee. Median price $429,000. 26 days in the market. So that's a hot market.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, Charlotte, North Carolina. $385 is a median price. 35 days on the market. Number 6, San Antonio, Texas is $285,000. 55 days on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, Arizona, which is number 7, $459,000. 35 days on the market. Jacksonville, Florida is $289,000 is the median market. 42 days on the market is the average. Atlanta, Georgia is $400K. 41 days on the market.
Mm.
Orlando, Florida, which is number 10, is $350,000 and 39 days on the market.
Mm.
Notice how many of them are warm states?
Uh-huh.
All 10 of them.
Yeah.
Rocket Mortgage says these are hot markets because the rise in home values outperform both the national averages and analysis expectations in 2022.
Mm.
Plus, it has population growth, which is what I like. Now, I get a lot of creative REI reply users that ask me, what area should I do business in? What should be my farm market?
That's right.
So here are my criteria for virtual areas. One, is it affordable?
Mm.
Are the properties affordable?
Mm-hmm.
2, is there job growth?
Yep.
3, are there things to do?
What you like fun things to do? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean, you could be in Iowa out in a cornfield that's, 150 miles away to a grocery store.
Yeah.
Are there things to do? Like, can you grocery shop? Can you go to Walmart? Can you go to Home Depot? Like, are there things to do?
Is there a park?
Yeah.
Golf courses.
And number 4, which is added as of this podcast, does it have good weather too?
What about the days on market?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, when you're talking about hot markets, we studied this a while back, and I think to myself, well, hot for who? If you own property, it's great for prices to be flying up and all that. If you're trying to buy property, certain things can be bad. So, and all the stuff you're saying there, what strikes me as important is the days on market. Because if stuff is flying off the shelf, people won't talk to me. If it's sitting there for a while, then they get like, oh, maybe I can talk to this investor guy on the phone. Maybe he can help me. So that, I think personally, is a little encouraging in the places that are over 40 days, 50 days. Then I can say, oh, I don't need you. I can just put it on the market and sell it. So I don't need you. Don't bother me. Go away.
That was number 5.
It's dragging. Yeah, I like that. That's
number 5.
That's what makes sense to me.
Okay, so we got to speed up here. So also the list of 10 I just gave you are not ranked 1 through 10, like I told you. They're not like the first one is the best. It's just a way of determining them as different locations to investigate. Okay, so now we are at some sort of information overload, right? Let me reel this big fish into the boat.
You are a fisherman.
Here are my final words and my unsolicited advice for all of our listeners right now, especially my creative REI Reply brand new users who are listening to this podcast and ask what their farm location should be. Where should I go to pick my zip code? Because we give them zip codes with a 50-mile radius in Creative REI Replay. Creative REI Replay, we give you the leads, right?
We have a comment.
Yeah. What does it say?
Bustello.
Yeah.
Ciao, Bustello.
He said his dream house is 650,000. Exactly. Well, here's another interesting statistic for Bustello. The average median price of a house in America right now, and you tease me about this because I use 200,000 for an example, is 419,000. So the average price across America is 419,000. In the Sun Belt, it's 629,000.
Well, a lot of the ones you were talking about were in the high 3s and 4s, but all together, 6. Yikes!
All right, so check this out because I'm going to buzz right through this, right?
Yeah.
So here are my final words and my unsolicited. Nice stat, thanks. You're welcome, Gustavo. So here's what we're going to do. This is for my Creative REI Replay listeners, and you should take this advice even if you're not using our software. This is the way to do it, right? Pick one of the 10 markets I just talked about with Rocket Mortgage, the Rocket Mortgage listing. And do 2 things. Number 1, to get started, once you have chosen one of these, learn how to do my slot deal, which is the sandwich lease option transfer. So what that means is you're not buying a house, you're getting a lease with an option. Actually, it's an option with a lease because they're going to give you an option and allow you to rent until you can pay them off, right? And then go find a buyer and make the difference between the down payment money that you give to the seller and you get from the buyer. So very often we'll give the seller $100 deposit for the option consideration deposit, and then we'll go sell it to this. We'll sell that option agreement to the buyer for $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000. Right? Because creative real estate is about what controls the property, not the property itself. Right? Now, here's the magic. This is the magic. Please listen to me because I have exclusive and extensive study on this. Now, it's only 6 months old, but it's very extensive. Use my new Grand Slam offer. So what is a Grand Slam offer, Peter? What is an offer?
Well, an offer is a proposal that you could be able to do such and such, purchase the house in some fashion or for some amount.
Right. So the Grand Slam offer is designed to pitch or designed to explain or designed to show the massive benefits in the seller doing a sandwich lease option transfer. And what happens is the seller doesn't sell the property, they rent it. Well, they don't rent it. they sell the property and allow the tenants to pay them monthly so they could pay all their expenses and make some cash flow with no landlord obligations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this offer is so ridiculous that the seller can't hardly say no.
Mm-hmm.
So I use a $200,000 house as an example. If they were to sell it for cash at 15% closing costs, they're going to get 170. If they're
That's
savvy
right.
and think they could do less than 15%, do 10%, they're going to get 180.
Mm.
If they hold on to it and do the slot deal the way I do it, or I suggest my students do it, at the end of 3 years, they're going to get $282,000, which is $100,000 more than if they sold it for cash.
Mm-hmm.
$100,000
Yeah.
in benefits. So now, if they needed 20 grand to go buy another house, you say to them, well, would you give up that 20? You're going to give up $100,000 just to get 20 grand? Isn't there another way you can get it? And they'll always say yes.
Mm-hmm.
The way the script is written is because what you do is when the way our scripts are written is you speak to somebody and say, hi, my name is Bill. I'm the guy that's been texting you about your house for sale. You have a few minutes to talk. Yes. Okay, good. Is the house still for sale? Is the first question. Second question is, whose name is on the deed? So you make sure you're talking to the right person. And then the third question is how much you're asking for the property. And when they say, 600,000, you say to them, okay, well, the only way I could pay 600,000 is if I make monthly payments until I can get you paid off, as is condition, without any landlord obligations. Is that something we could talk about? And 95 to 97% of them say, no, I don't want to do payments. I want all cash, which is where we used to stop with the script. Now the next thing we say is, so you're saying if I didn't get you $282,000 for the house, you wouldn't sell it? And you shock them with that number. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And they feel foolish not to ask you at least how it works and try to figure out if it's a scam or not, because that's what they're going to do is try to figure out if it's a scam or not. Right? And now you have their undivided attention because their greed glands show up. Right? They're going to want to know how you can do it. Okay? So this is why I say in my description today that there's 10 to 20% more investors in today's economy trying to buy that same house you are. What this is going to do is it's going to blow all those other investors away because they're not going to know how to make this offer unless they've studied my script and studied this stuff, right? Unless they know how to do this, and it's not very hard. If you've rented a house before in your past, you know about how to do about 85 or 90% of this. There is no study, there is no deal structuring, there is no blah blah blah. You'll learn that later, but this will get you some deals done. Now, here's the interesting thing is you go off of the down payment amount of money from your buyer. So is it better to get 5% or 10% on a $200,000 house or a $700,000 house? So when I say the average price, like in the Sun Belt, is 600,000, that's perfect for this type of a deal because you can make more money. And you can do it virtually. You don't have to be there to babysit the house. You get some boots on the ground, which we show you how to do in Creative Aria Replay, but you get some boots on the ground, which could be anybody. I mean, Thumbtack is the best place in the world to find those, or Craigslist. You find a stay-at-home mom or a soccer mom. You find a retired realtor. You find a property manager. You find a construction guy that has a bunch of crews working for him and he's driving around anyways. He could do it for you, or she could do it for you, right? My point is, when you make this offer, you stand out from every other offer there is. You're the only one in the room. The only one in the room that they're listening to, and you have their full attention. There is no other buddy talking. There's nobody else talking to them. Does this make sense? So all those other investors, they don't count, right? When you use the script. And Peter was the one that figured out that you do all this in the first 4 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yep.
Within the first 5 minutes, you know whether they're going to listen to you or not. So how
Yeah.
many 5-minute phone calls could you do with our script? 5-minute phone calls could you do to find the one person that will listen to you and do this transaction? Could you do 5? Could you do 10? Could you do 20? I'll tell you, if you do 20, you're going to get a deal. Absolutely guaranteed. So 20 phone calls times 5 minutes is how much? It's an hour and a half of your time. A little more than an hour and a half of your time. You're going to tell me that you can't spend an hour and a half of your time to go make $30, $40, $50,000? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. And this deal strategy, by the way, works perfectly in the price ranges, like I told you, that allows our listeners to make the $25,000 to $40,000 in one transaction that most often can be done within 30 days. These deals do not take long, right? 45 days on the market, like I just explained to you, that Rocket Mortgage said, right, is perfect. If you choose to use our creative real estate platform, creative REI replay platform, all this is almost a guarantee that within 30 days you're going to do it, because all the tools are there. Everything you need is there. The texting, the AI. In fact, we're getting ready to change our pricing structure because right now you go in at a certain price and we upsell you, and we're just going to stop doing that. We're going to actually have tiers. Right now, the lower tier doesn't have any AI, doesn't have any robots answering your text. We're going to include that in the lower tier now, just because it's too successful. So as of the first of the year, which is 2024, we're going to be doing that. All right. So this is if you're going to do slot deals. Now, not everybody wants to do slot deals. So number 2, because I said there was 2 things I was going to tell you. Number 2, my second suggestion is to do some research. Now, you've got to do research on all these Sunbelt cities I'm talking about. I need to sneeze, so hang on a second. So what happens is, excuse me. So what happens is you still use this list of 10 cities. But now what you're going to do is you're going to go out into the suburbs of those cities that are 30 minutes away or less. Right? 30 minutes of a drive, I mean, right?
Yeah.
And this is where you're going to go out and start doing your rent to own, where you stay in for money now, money monthly, money later. You're going to do your subject twos, and you're going to do your owner finance, is in these suburbs. Because the list I gave you are cities. So go out in the suburbs and you start promoting in those suburbs, with text and stuff with Creative REI Replay, right? And you start doing that. Now, before you get your panties all in a knot, because you think I'm trying to sell you Creative REI Replay, which I am not, and I'll prove that to you right now, I put our Gram Slam offer kits link in the description. Right? For those that prefer to not use Creative REI Replay and get involved with all of the other automation. So in the description is a link where you could go get the 2 scripts and you get the calculator and you could actually do this tomorrow. Because I promise you, if you've rented a house before in the past or helped somebody rent a house in the past, you know how to do about 85 to 90% of it. You get the scripts, you go find in one of these states, it's as easy as, suppose you pick Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
You go on to Zillow and put the zip code in for Austin, Texas, and look for sale by owners and just start calling them or texting them. Right? And you're using the script. Right? You can go to a company called My Plus Leads. My Plus Leads will give you all the for sale by owners and expired listings you can ever think of. They'll charge you, $100 a month or $80, whatever, $60 a month, whatever it is, but you get them. Every day you get them in your inbox. Every day you pick up your script, you call them. You don't need a fancy system. I will tell you, you're leaving yourself short if you don't use things like Creative REI Replay, like I told you before, because first of all the people who will tell you no need to go into a follow-up system. If you don't put them in a follow-up system, you're shooting yourself by 40% of your deals, right? Because 40% of all of our deals are done by follow-up, especially nowadays when I'm telling you 55% of the market are millennials, right?
Yeah.
So here's the last thing I want to say before we boogie, okay?
Sure.
And I want this to be, I'm going to brush over it because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I can do an entire podcast on this, which means 1 hour. I've noticed a lot of folks are trying to make deals happen in their backyard. Backyard means that you can drive to the property and you can see it. It's what I call an arm's length transaction. Okay. That means they want to touch it, they want to feel it, they want to protect their investment. They want to go see the contractors, they want to go see the house, they want to talk to the seller, they want to see the buyer. And in the world of management, that is bad management, because if you need to do arm's length management, that means that you have not learned how to be a good administrator or a good owner or a good manager, because technically, if you have an off-site location, you should be able to manage that with the right numbers and the right questions, which obviously we show you how to do in Creative REI Replay. But the point is this. If you're trying to do deals in your backyard because you're afraid of doing virtual deals, and by the way, this goes for you too, Peter, for me too, right? So I have found that our average user, I think, is in their 50s. So it's usually, and our average user is a male.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of us older guys, which I'm being stereotypical right now, but we came into technology late in life.
Oh yeah, sure.
So we don't always trust it. So we want to go see the properties. We want to make sure it's not a scam. We want to make sure this and make sure that. My point is you don't need to do this, especially with a slot deal and the Grand Slam offer, because you're going to put up $10 or $100 for money. So the worst you're going to lose is $100.
Yeah.
The best that's going to happen is you'll spend $100 and learn a valuable lesson.
Huh? Oh, you know that if you don't actually complete like your first deal or two, you learn so much that the next one will be easy. Right.
So why are you worried about the virtual deals? What are you worried about? Because the slot deal, you're not managing the property. You're going to just get your money and you're going to leave the deal. Now, if you're going to do a subject to deal remotely, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to just do slot deals and just make a cash machine, I mean, think about it. If you conservatively made $20,000 a deal, $25,000 a deal, which is really conservative on a $300,000 house.
Yeah, at these prices,
right? Think about what I just told you. That's $300,000 a year to do one deal a month. It's a lot of dough, man. That's doctor's pay. And all I'm telling you is you need a system like Creative REI Replay to do 90% of the work for you. And I'm not pitching REI Replay. I really am not. I'm just telling you, because once you start doing this, you're going to realize why you want a system like that. And there are not any out there. There's no other out there. I've not been able to find it. I looked for 20 years. That's why I had to create it.
Yeah, but you made a really good, Bill, you made a really, really good point at the beginning of the podcast today, that everything is headed in the direction of more automation, more computers, more online, less direct. Yeah. So, I mean, I do it as good as I can do it, but I have to. The days of me putting a sign up and waiting, I think that's over. So if that's the trend, what are you going to do? Not?
Yep. So like I said, I'm belaboring the point, but if you think you need to test real estate in your backyard by doing a deal a half an hour away that you need to go look at it, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Peter, when was the last time you did a deal? We did a deal.
Yeah, it's tough here. I had an almost a while back. I had a property, but didn't work out. But no.
Months and months and months and months because we're trying to do a deal in our backyard. Because that's where you want to do the deal, and I'm not picking on you, but I'm just saying and I agree with you because
I mean, no, for me it's a matter of control. I'm not sure how I can control. I know how I could, I haven't done it, so I know I can control it if it's right in front of me. But that's like the boss has to do everything. He doesn't trust his staff. You have to get to the point where you can get somebody to do it that you can trust. You have to trust yourself to be able to control that. I'm willing to try it because unless things change, my backyard is not being helpful to me.
So my point is that if you're going to do a slot deal, don't do any other type of deal until you're comfortable with the environment. The slot deal will teach you that farm market. It will get you connections. You'll get boots on the ground. You'll get people that work for you. You get plumbers and whatever people that you need. Right? Thumbtack is an amazing tool. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. All these tools keep coming up that we used to think we're like, who would do that? And now here it is post-COVID, right? And that's all we do.
My little side business, my music lesson, it's all online.
Yeah.
It's once a blue moon somebody calls. It's all online. I got websites. I got referral sites. Why do I have to do that? But I do, and I have them, and it works. I use Thumbtack. I've used it 10 years ago. I was using Thumbtack. And I'm not that techie, but I've done that because you have to. So everything's like that now. Here's
the thing, Peter. If you've not listened to this podcast before, and we're going to end with this. Your age starts with a 7, so I'm very proud of you for doing all that.
Oh, thanks.
So very well done, because your generation definitely does not know how to do that.
No, there's guys my age like, I think okay, fine, be that way, not me. I'm still working it. Hey, I'm working here, so I'm using it.
Yeah. All right, cool. So thank you for listening to us today. Hopefully we answered your questions. For all my Creative REI Reply listeners, users or soon-to-be users, thank you for your support. This podcast was for you to help you find your farm market. So I suspect that after you listen today, you will be able to do that. And for all the rest of you that are listening, thank you very much. Make sure you like us and subscribe to us so that we're on the air, we're here. And of course, the likes are just our energy that keeps us going and want us to do more podcasts. So make sure you do that so we can get more juice, more, what is the word I want? I don't know. Energy.
Energy sounds okay.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Make sure you like us. Make sure you leave us a comment, and make sure you join us on episode number 283. Thank you again, and have a good week. Flourish and prosper.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.